What's up, Epic 7? April 10th Origins is coming up quickly, so it's time for part 2 of my limited selector tier list. You can check the link in the description of the video if you're looking for the limited units, but today we're going to talk about the limited artifacts. Which ones you should get, why you should get them, how important are they to your account, and help you make sure you make the best choice possible for this tier list. I'll also go over what ones may or may not be available on the tier list, so you can be aware of that and maybe have a backup plan if your first choice is not available. Let's get into that tier list. Okay guys, here we are, and just like the unit tier list, I'm going to start from the top and work my way to the bottom. Now, the bottom tier is actually kind of a special tier. Artifacts are a little bit wonky, right? There are certain artifacts that are absolute must-haves if you have a specific unit. But if you don't have that specific unit, the artifact has no use whatsoever for you. So we're going to cover that in its own special tier. But artifacts that are just generally good all around, they're going to go in our A tier. Artifacts that are pretty much garbage, and there are better artifacts that aren't limited, will go in the C tier. Everything else in the B tier. Let's jump right in. First, the number one most important limited artifact is, you guessed it, Guiding Light. That's right. Though a lot of Rangers are starting to not need this anymore because of built-in stealth, there is no limited artifact that high-end players have more of on their account. I think I've got like 15 of these things. There's 52 Rangers in the game, give or take, so you'll never have enough Guiding Lights. This artifact will make sure that when the fight starts, you are automatically in stealth, and that means if your Ranger is an opener, it's going to help make sure they get to take a turn, especially if they're not the fastest unit on the team. Somebody's going to have to do something to expose your Ranger. So a very, very good artifact to have. The second most important artifact is, you guessed it, Laya's artifact, Sweet Miracle. A rough rule of thumb on Sweet Miracle is if you've already got one, you'll need another. And if you've already got two, you're going to want a second one. And if you've got three, you might even want a fourth. Two is kind of generally accepted as what you're going to need to play competitively. Three is going to be ideal. And four, it's kind of luxury. Five is future-proof. Don't get crazy. Even I only have four of these things. This artifact allows a debuff to cleanse, which makes it very difficult to control a unit you need to take a turn. So you can have this artifact on your Peyra to make sure she doesn't get controlled and gets a turn. You can have this artifact on your Laya to make sure she's able to get her cleanses off. You can have this artifact on Mediator Queric to make sure there's absolutely nothing that stops Mediator Queric, even a 2-turn debuff. It's a solid artifact, one you're going to want to have multiples of. Now this one, making its first triumphant appearance in the A tier, used to be a C tier, is Wall of Order. After its buff, it is going to have a Guiding Light kind of an aspect to it, where after you take a turn, this will put you into stealth. Unlike Guiding Light, which is a 60% chance to put you in stealth, this one just puts you into stealth. I mean, when it's maxed out, of course. 75% chance at plus 15, 100% chance at plus 30. So that is huge. Even at plus 15, it's a better chance to re-stealth than Guiding Light. It does not grant you stealth at the start of the turn. That's a Guiding Light trick. But on units that already stealth at the start of the turn, buffed Landy, this is going to be really, really good. It also has a chance to give greater attack buff based on the number of buffs on the enemy. So if you're going into a team that's buffing heavily, this is a great way. Probably the best and most efficient way to get greater attack buff on a unit. Next, we're going to come to Soul Consolation. On a Soul Weaver that needs to take initiative, this artifact is a must. It gives you a big chunk effect resistance, making it hard to push you back, hard to control you, and when the enemy uses a non-attack skill, she already pushes you right up to the top of the line. And why is that good? Why is that so great? Well, what usually is a non-attack skill doing, right? It's probably pushing you back. This is going to let you push your Soul Weavers up, your DJ Basars, your Infinite Horizon Acades, those kind of units that can then use a skill to restore bounce and push everybody back up. Or they're debuffing skills, in which case the ER on this artifact is freaking great and it allows you to push your Cleanser up, who can cleanse all the problems like it never happened. Lulakar uses this artifact, as well as several other Soul Weavers. This is a kind of a must-have 2 or 3 of them kind of must-have. Now we're going to slide into our B tier. These are artifacts that are really, really good, but you can go your entire life without them, right? First, we got Fairy Tale for a Nightmare. With pop damage being increased, with fixed damage being increased, I think we're going to find a really good place for Fairy Tale for a Nightmare on a lot of mage units. Now, the hardest thing about this artifact, the thing that keeps this artifact from being up top, is it's a mage artifact, and there are precious few mages that are going to want anything that's not named Tagahel's Ancient Book. So if you don't have a Tag's Book, you've got a mage, especially when it spams AoE, this is great on it. It's my preferred artifact on Solitaria of the Snow, for example. Draco Plate. Draco Plate is a stupendous artifact. It's kind of like a hybrid of Proof of Valor and Symbol of Unity, I guess, kind of, sort of. Except Symbol of Unity increases your damage. Draco Plate increases your crit damage. And the nice thing about Draco Plate is, since it's an artifact, it will allow you to go beyond the cap. So if you get, say, a 15% crit damage boost from Draco Plate, you can theoretically have 365% crit damage. Now, it won't show in your stats, but it will be there. Artifacts exceed caps. So this, that's a nice boost to damage, and it also gives you some built-in mitigation. So really nice on bruiser DPS units that want high crit damage, but also want to be a little bit tanky. The only reason it's not higher for something that seems so strong is there is an ocean of warrior artifacts that are just better. Now we have Mature Sunglasses. Mature Sunglasses is Draco Plate. They're literally the same artifact. It's just this one's for warriors, this one's for knights. And again, there are so many really, really good knight artifacts. Usually the only time you see Mature Sunglasses on a unit is because they don't have the better, more appropriate artifact. Like you'll see this on Mort instead of Holy Sacrifice, for example. Now we're going to look at Lethe's artifact, Prayer of Solitude. Very nice artifact. Gives you a strong boost to your HP and makes extra attacks do significantly more damage. Very, very nice for Lethe. When you drag him to the bottom of the sea to do even more damage, give her more health. Really nice on Ice Shoe for the 6 of you that are still playing Ice Shoe. Very good on Alencia, who has had a resurgence. Alencia doing the extra attacks. This will boost her damage and her HP. It may be best in slot on Alencia. So that's gonna be about it for our B tier. Now we're gonna move into our C tier. First is Champion's Trophy. Champion's Trophy is a warrior artifact that gives you a chance to stun. It'll add stun to your kit. Can be nice on Conqueror Lilius. It does boost your effectiveness too. So for those of you who still run Conqueror Lilius, nice to add a stun to all of the toxic things she does. I've seen them on damage Meteor Querics just to make Meteor Queric do even more, but not a lot of units really are going to benefit from this, and those that do would, probably be better off on other artifacts. Next, we're going to talk about Unfading Memories. Now, some people will argue and say, oh, Unfading Memories is really good. Unfading Memories is basically Rod of Amaryllis, except it's AoE and much, much less healing. It does give you a good chunk of effect resistance, which can make it nice on DN, but I think pound for pound you're going to find Rod of Amaryllis is better for the healing, and that there's other artifacts that are better for the resistances. But if you want to pick up this one to make your DN complete, go for it. I just don't think it's strong enough to warrant a limited selector for it. Tori's artifact, Feed of Criticism. It gives Tori a barrier at the end of the fights. It's kind of nice, but Tori is just better off on artifacts like Wind Rider. So you can run on Tori to give her a barrier right out the gate, but you're probably running Tori with a barrier spammer already, so it feels kind of like an unnecessary overlap of the synergy she's going to have with other units on the team. Magic Bubble Maker is just a garbage artifact. Nobody's really going to use it. Boosts effectiveness, lets you apply a random debuff. There's no way in God's green earth that you're going to use this artifact over the slew of other really good mage artifacts that are out there. And now we're going to talk about Old Gardening Shears. This artifact is only good on Biblis, and Biblis isn't good, so I'm not even going to recommend it as a niche or specific tier unit artifact. It's just not a good artifact. Now we get down to the niche or specific use ones. The first one that everybody should be aware of is Star of the Deep Sea. Now, Star of the Deep Sea is required if you want to run Pirate Captain Flan or Summertime Assaria. They'll both want one, and they'll want them at plus 30. If you don't have or care about either of those units, this artifact has no use to you whatsoever. If you have either of those units, you've probably discovered that you can't even play them unless you have this artifact. And you've probably discovered still that if you have this artifact, it kind of needs to be plus 30 to really be optimal. So maybe you pick up a dupe to help raise it to plus 30. Rengar's special drink, which we have found out is a margarita. Rengar's special drink is a artifact that acts very much like Fairy Tale for a Nightmare, except the pop damage isn't fixed, it's based on attack. And because of the buffs we're getting to Bologna, we're going to be able to run a Giga Attack Bologna slow and let the pop damage on this go crazy. This artifact is so good that I think if you want to run Seaside Bologna, it's kind of a must. People have tried it on the other units. They've tried it on Landy, for example. Maybe it would be okay on Landy, but it is specifically for Bologna, and if you don't have this artifact, Bologna is significantly weaker of a character. Spotted Mouse Hair Tie. I was back and forth on whether to put this one in the C tier or down here in the niche tier. The reason is about the only Soul Weaver in the game that can use this is Frida, but Ahmed is also really, really good on this if you're trying to cleave an arena. It's a very specific niche use is to have this on your Frida, but honestly, Frida is probably better off on Bird's Eye View. But if you plan on running Ahmed for any kind of cleaving in arena, this is a great artifact. If you're not running either of those two units, this artifact serves no purpose to you in the game currently. Proof of Friendship, Child Senya's artifact. Really good on Child Senya. Best in slot on Child Senya. Don't have Child Senya, don't have a use for this. Seductive Flower, Giga Strong on Blooming Litica. If you don't have Blooming Litica, this artifact is useless. Dreamlike Holiday, really, really good on Afternoon Soak Plan. Hostess of the Banquet. This artifact is really only good on BBK, and not just any BBK, it's only good on the effect resistance variant of BBK, because this gives you resistance and damage. If you're running a counter BBK, you probably are going to prefer dodge, evasion. If you're running a damage BBK, you'll probably prefer a real damage dealing artifact. But if you plan on running the third variant, the high ER BBK, this is your best in slot. Other than that, its uses are on units that just aren't used anymore. For example, an ER Galililius that no one plays, or a Twisted Eidolon Chiron that nobody plays. So it doesn't really have a home anywhere except on BBK, and not just BBK, but a specific niche variant of BBK, making it the most niche artifact on this list. And one last artifact for our tier list is Fan of Light and Dark, Ahmed's artifact. It is only ever used on Ahmed and only in the most niche situations. And Frida's artifact, Spotted Mouse Hair Tie, has replaced most of those situations. So this artifact is pretty useless to you. Well, there you go, guys. That's my tier list. All the limited artifacts available on the selector tickets, with notes about the ones that may or may not be. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and you guys have a great rest of your week. Take care, everybody.